Hey, everybody.
Hello,
Yes,
hello.
yes, yes.
We are going to give some people some time to get in here, join the live video. We decided to
Woo.
go a little early tonight. We normally go around 8 p.m., but we're going
Yes,
early.
yes, yes. We're going early. A lot of times we're gonna catch y'all off guard. We're gonna catch y'all off guard.
Yes.
We're gonna start, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes we gotta be spontaneous. That's right. We come on, spontaneity. You know what I'm saying? That's what
Spontaneity.
Say it again, baby.
Spontaneity.
That's right. Sometimes you got to have some spontaneity. Say it again, baby.
Spontaneity.
Yeah, she said it so nice. I love it when she says it twice.
Oh my God!
But
we are the kings. Come on into this live.
Come on in and enjoy this festivity. This is gonna be a wonderful time. This is gonna be a time where we can come and just enjoy, talk, communicate. Share some things. It is so important for everybody in this world right now to get away from all the issues and the stuff that's going on, and let's deal with some stuff on the internal structure. Sometimes, with all the stuff going around, it can be distractions. A lot of distractions away from what we need to deal with ourselves, because we start looking around and we start looking at the problems, we start looking at the things that we're facing, and what we do is we start channeling our energy to what we're going through or what society is going through, and not really dealing with our own personal issues.
That's right. So come on in. We are talking today about love after dysfunction. That is the title of our book that we're releasing. And so today's topic of discussion is making permanent decisions in toxic situations. Making permanent decisions in toxic situations.
I've done a lot of that.
Yes, I don't know how many have been in bad relationships, in situations where you literally made a permanent decision with your life, or something that was very drastic because of your toxic relationship and the way that you responded in that toxic relationship. So when we have toxic situations and toxic relationships that we're dealing with, if we know that it's toxic, and sometimes we know we're not in healthy situations.
Exactly.
It's important for us not to make permanent decisions.
So the question is, how do you know if you're in a toxic situation? I think that most of us, can pretty much understand that toxic could be abuse. Mm-hmm. In different ways, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, physical
abuse.
I mean, come on. I mean, it can be a lot of different type of abuses that's going on that causes you to understand that you're in a toxic situation. I mean, toxic can be in so many different ways. You're not feeling supported, not feeling love. I mean, unconditional love, not desiring, because there's a level of, I'll say, toxicity that sometimes that we can allow in our lives without it being where it's going to hurt you or damage you, right? But then there's a level that it gets so bad to a point to where it begins to start influencing you, your character, your emotions, and the things that you do, the things around you. And that type of toxicity doesn't need to be in your life. And so it's important that we understand that. I mean, there's so many different levels. I mean, me and my wife were just talking about some things today in which we're going to, expound upon, because of course we understand that, there's a book that we're attempting to release in August, you know what I'm saying? And we want you to understand that when we talk about love after dysfunction and abuse, we are talking from a real level of where we are talking from truth.
We're talking from our experiences. It's crazy that we both experienced this, but as far as the permanent decisions.
Yes.
Okay. Making a permanent decision. One thing that my husband and I talked about was the fact that I tied my tubes. And I tied my tubes in response to the situation I was in when I was, in a relationship, married before, and and of course fertile. So if I had not been in that dysfunction and abuse, if I had not been in that situation, I probably would not have tied my tubes.
Yes.
And so we're talking about when you make permanent decisions in situations that you know are toxic, abusive, or not healthy for you, what does that look like? So the first question you asked was, how do we know? How do we know a relationship is dysfunctional? How do we know a relationship is abusive? If you're out there, please send us some likes, please share, because this is a real topic.
This is something that real authentic place.
If you have some questions, or if you have an answer to the question we just asked, how do you know that you're in an abusive or toxic relationship? Because we learn from each other.
And then also ask yourself, have you made permanent decisions based off a temporary situation?
Mm-hmm.
Have you made some permanent decisions based off of, and I'm going to say it again, some temporary situations?
That's good. That's
because you could be in a right now situation that's not forever. And you make a permanent decision which is based on your emotion and based on your conditions, based on some things. And, and next thing you know, you find yourself in a place of wanting. You find yourself in a place of where you get down the road and you find what you really do desire. And now you're looking back and you're like, wow, I shouldn't have never done that. I shouldn't have never done that. I shouldn't have never, made that decision. And this is not based on what my wife just shared, because I don't want to make her feel uncomfortable on here.
It's okay, but we're being
But in transparency is a beautiful thing, And I believe in the world today, we right now actually need some transparency in our society. We need some people to keep it raw and keep it real, because right now it seems like a lot of fake stuff going on around us, and so it's necessary that we keep it 100 and not lie, not not try to cover some things up, because let's be real, covering things up it shouldn't be in people that's actually trying to do and raw with their life, So
how do you know that you're in a toxic, abusive, dysfunctional relationship?
So why don't you
So how do you know? Yes, transparency is absolutely crucial. Transparency is absolutely crucial. Thank you for sharing that. But how do you know? How do you know that you're in an abusive, toxic, dysfunctional situation? I believe that I knew that I was experiencing those particular types of relationships because I was changing everything about who I was. So, there's a difference between growth and you growing into something versus you changing your complete personality.
Wow.
And who you are completely. So every time you turn around, there's an issue with how you respond or do things, or, just not, they don't like how you sit or speak or walk or dress. All of these different things that make you who you are. If you're with someone that constantly challenges those things and constantly wants to change those things and approaches you in a way that is, rude about it or mean or things like that, I believe that means you're in a dysfunctional, toxic situation.
So let me ask you a question, right? Keep it at 100. So do you believe that that's something that we can literally take in our future relationships? If we do that and we change and we become start putting on a mask, we start really just changing to suit what they desire, what dysfunctionality desires.
Yes. So those are permanent decisions, right? You change your personality. So I'll take you case in point so now with Love After, with this situation, when I found that I was changing who I was to fit an idea in the dysfunction and abuse that I was in, when I found that I was constantly changing that, now that I'm in a relationship where I'm receiving love appropriately according to God's standards, I'm remembering who I was prior to the relationships I was in that were not good for me. So it's like a health reset. You know, my muscle memory is coming back like, oh, I remember how lively I was, or colorful I was, or, you know, how I love flowers and this and all these other different things about me that I suppressed because I was in such a dysfunctional situation that I was constantly changing it.
You know, it's crazy because, wow, Rachel, wow.
I knew my relationship was toxic when a spirit of murder came on me. It was totally out of my character. Yes.
Come on.
That is so good, because when you get to a point where you are dreaming about murdering somebody,
wow, or
you dream about, you know, hurting somebody,
or you contemplating
in your mind, or you say those kind. And sometimes we think that the tongue is powerful. We'll say, "I'll wear that orange jumpsuit." You know what I'm saying? I'll wear that orange jumpsuit to take this man out, or this woman, or whatever the case may be. You are in a toxic. Thank you, Auntie Rachel, for sharing that. You are in a toxic relationship when the spirit of murder comes on you, and it's totally out of your character.
You know, I want to expound on that a little bit, because you know what? That's you're 100% right. That a lot of us, you know, the murder that's basically that we're contemplating on that person is really, you know, it's spiritually saying, I need to eliminate this situation. I need to eliminate this situation, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to ruin my whole life on this temporary situation. See, because a lot of people actually think, right, that this relationship is forever. And the emotions that you have tied to this person got you thinking that this is a forever situation. But the truth be told is, it's just a right now situation.
It really is.
It's not meant for forever. Right.
So Tanya Sykes Clark commented and says that, and she commented on another modem area that we're going live. These are reasons why, how you know you're in a toxic or dysfunctional relationship. Lack of trust, constant negative environment, draining atmosphere. That's really good. Lack of communication, narcissistic behaviors, the role play, or habit changing.
Yes.
But that's really good. Draining atmosphere. I remember how draining it was to be at home or to be in the situation that I was in in particular relationships, because it was always a shift. It was always this thing, you know. My husband reminded me that, and I had shared something with him about my children, you know, at one point would yell, "Daddy's home, Daddy's home." And it wasn't like they were yelling it because they were happy that he was home. They were yelling it because it was like an alarm, like, prepare, everybody get in your place, get in position, run, go to your room, quiet the house down, because when he comes through this door, we don't need any issues. We want everything to be smooth sailing. We want to be the reason why he's at peace. He doesn't have to argue. He doesn't have to yell. That is dysfunction.
Now tell them what they do when I get here.
They run downstairs. They're in the bedroom. I can't get them out my room. That's love after, right? I'm not married to that kind of man anymore. But that's love after. Like, I can't even get the kids. I'm trying to get him to myself. Do y'all hear me? And the kids, you know, Daddy's home. He's home. And they running downstairs. They in the room. Jeremy, this, that. And it's just like, oh my God. It's just it's like night and day. So, you know, there are so many things that we have to pay attention to. And we make permanent decisions based, like you said, on temporary situations. Based on situations that we think are hopeless. Based on situations that we think we never will see the light of day. We think this is love. We think this dysfunction and abuse is love. And it really isn't.
It really isn't.
It's not. And we can't make decisions based on that.
And I recall, you know, and I'll share even the situation with myself, right? I recall, like, you know, changing friends. Stop having friends. Mm-hmm. You know what? You'll change your friends. Mm-hmm. You got good people around you, and they'll do things that will cause you to lose good friendship. Mm. They'll make it seem like the person that you talking to, that you're friends with, is trying to get with them.
If you're just joining us, because I see people are joining us, we're talking about love after dysfunction and abuse. And my husband is answering the question about, well, how do you know you are in an abusive or toxic relationship? how do you know? So we're covering some of those points. So he said changing.
So let me just really dive into this, because I recall in a previous situation that I was in, and where I was basically being told that my friends was trying to get with her, and they was trying to do this and they was trying to do that, and you shouldn't be around them. You shouldn't be around them. And it was all things that basically was trying to pull me away from having any other connections with any other people, just to get me by myself in order to torment me while you have me. And so I want you all to understand dysfunction. Dysfunction won't allow you to have no friends. Dysfunction wants to get you all by yourself.
And that's not love. We will play, well, he just loves me so much. Girl, he just want all my time.
No,
that's not healthy.
That ain't healthy.
That's not healthy.
Healthy is, listen, man, baby, I need to go for a little bit. I need to breathe.
You know
what I'm saying? It's okay.
And if they don't get angry about it. You know, some men, I've been in situations where you like, hey, I just need some time to myself. I just need to breathe. And they get angry and then turn it on you. Narcissistic people will turn it on you and make it look like they're the victim. You know, and you just want to get time away from me. No, but that's not healthy. That's dysfunctional.
You know, and then, you know, asking you who you talking to, where you going, you know what I'm saying? Who was there when you went there? What was this? What was that? Those are dysfunctional questions, people.
Yes, they are.
Those are just, do y'all understand? Come on, man.
Be real.
Let's keep it real.
He's just concerned about my well-being and where I'm not.
No. That's dysfunctional characteristics, conversation, communication. That is dysfunctional. That is coming from an abandoned, problematic place that's on the inside of that person, because guess what? They're not caring about who was there that may harm you. They care about the fact that is there somebody out there that's going to rescue you from me.
That's so good.
Come on, let's be real. Is there somebody that's out there that's going to help you to recognize? You know what I'm saying? That's going to help you recognize that there's something better out there for you. So come on, man. So you got to recognize that. You got to recognize that type of dysfunction, because I have literally seen this stuff, because people will do it. Mm-hmm. People will come out here and tell you, baby, I'm only doing this
because I love you.
Because I love you, man. Like, if you go out there and you know what I'm saying, and somebody say something to you, man, even the threatening of killing themselves.
I don't know what I do.
I don't know what I'll do without you. You know what I'm saying? For real, I take my own, like, that's not healthy.
And that's not love. That is a healthy person. If I don't know what I'd do without you, I'd just kill myself. I would just die. You know, then you might want to tell that person you might need some counseling.
Hold on. And I want to take it to it even further. Yo, if I die, you gonna be with somebody else? Those are dysfunctional questions, people. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Now, I know you laughing, baby, but it's real, because this is real stuff that be happening with real people. Where if I die, is you gonna be with somebody else? Yes. Yes, I'm gonna be with somebody else. You gone. You gone, people. You gone. Listen,
as you said before, transparency is crucial.
Transparency is crucial. Listen, I know I'm laughing right now, but yes, come on, man. Do you really expect for me to sit there and lay over your grave? Now, you know what? I'm thank God for my wife, because she's a laugher. She know right now I'm sitting here, I'm just being a clown. Okay? But this is real talk, y'all. I die. I cannot expect for this beautiful woman that there ain't gonna be some man that's gonna come up and gonna say, you know what, man, look, you so beautiful, and want to put another ring on her finger. Come on, man. She's classy. She's so wonderful. You know what I'm saying? I'm thankful that I got her. You feel me? So if I'm gonna sit there and I'm glad I got her, you think that there's not somebody else that's not gonna look over here and see the treasure that she is and the worth that she is?
Now that is love after. You know, we want to talk about dysfunction and abuse. We want to shed the light on that so people are aware of what it looks like, because we both experienced it. But we also want you to understand what love looks like and what it should be in the face of adversity. You know, love should be your husband doting on you and talking good about you, or your fiance just talking just wonderful things. And sometimes we think that's a fairy tale and it doesn't exist, but it actually does exist.
You know,
it really does exist.
We as men, and I'll speak for the male factor and say this. We as men got to take more time looking at our queens. You know, race, whatever, you know, let's put all that aside right now, because whoever your wife is, you got to take more time to recognize the crown that's on her head, you know, because there is a crown on her head. And you know what I'm saying? And you as the king, you know what I'm saying, you have all authority to make sure that that crown fits right. Mm-hmm. That, you know what I'm saying, that she understands her worth. And a lot of times, because a lot of these females don't know their worth, they're dealing with men that basically are targeting this self that they, you know what I'm saying, that they have not identified with yet. They don't know the queen that they are. So guess what? So now the man is basically pulling and tugging on the fact that they don't know that. So they don't have no self-worth. So yet, you know what I'm saying, they'll tug on that and they'll pull on that and they'll beat on that to a point to where she doesn't know who she is. So now let's come in here. Let's tackle that issue right now, because, you know, if you're any type of a king and you love your queen, you're going to build her up. You're not going to tear her down. It don't matter if she gained a few pounds. It don't matter what she did in the past. If you love her, you're going to build her up and you're going to make her see who she is, the queen that's inside of her, who she's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? If she came into the relationship acting like a queen, then you know, then you need to build her up and continuously keep on letting her see the queen that she is.
And even if she doesn't act like a queen,
help her to become one.
Help her to become one.
Help her to become one. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Let's address that issue. You know what I'm saying?
Let's address, because you know, men don't, you know, so just but
and
that's
vice versa.
And vice versa. But so we kind of covered some points about how you know you're in a toxic relationship, and then we wanted to definitely share about permanent decisions or drastic decisions that we could make while we're in toxic relationships and how they can affect us later. And so for me, one of the things I mentioned earlier on in the broadcast was that I did tie my tubes, and I think that if I was in a different situation, I probably would not have tied my tubes. And so it's affected, you know, this relationship, our marriage, because, you know, getting together, you know, there's not the opportunity of saying, okay, well, we want to have children per se. So we're just being very transparent about how things can affect. You know, if we decided to have children, we would have to go about it a different way because of a permanent decision that I made in response to not seeing hope, you know, outside of what I was going through, not seeing the light, you know. So sometimes when we are in situations, we gotta understand that and especially if it's not God ordained, or if it's not what God intended for us, we should be very careful about how we construct our lives, you know, and how we do things.
You know, for me, I'm gonna say like this. Like for me, it was making a decision, a permanent decision on a temporary situation, was a marriage that I committed to for 13 years. I made a permanent decision on a temporary situation. Mm-hmm. And I want you to recognize something, you know, like God gave me all the, he gave me all the examples of what I needed to understand about what a woman was, right? But I allowed sex and different things of that nature to cloud my judgment. And so I jumped into a situation based off of what I was feeling in a different part of my body rather than my heart and my mind and what the Spirit of God was saying to me. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I don't want to get into a whole spiritual, you know what I'm saying, thing. And, you know what I'm saying, because I want to keep this transparent. I really want to touch on some things that is just important here. And I was thinking with the wrong head. And so now I'm looking at life differently because how I started this marriage off, we didn't have sex. Wasn't nothing. I remember my spiritual father and my dad said no penetration. And if you want to start this thing off right, no penetration.
Yeah.
And
so that is a good response into what we dealt with, dysfunction and abuse. We decided to not do it our way. We decided to do it God's way. And, you know, people can say, how is that possible? It's very much possible. Mm-hmm. Just like you sin or you choose to do something, whatever you set your mind to, you can be deliberate about how you go about it. So if you want to sin, you sin. If you want to have sex outside of marriage, you have sex outside of marriage. If you can do whatever you put your mind to. Our mind is just that strong. So is our will. God gave us a will. So when we dealt with what we dealt with, I know for me, I can speak from my experiences. I was tired of going around the same mountain. I was tired of meeting the same kind of man, dealing with the same kind of man. And so I just completely left it in God's hands. And so when we got together and started talking, our approach was that we were not going to be intimate, no penetration, none of that prior to being
married.
We say that word because my dad was like, he said that. No.
You know what I'm saying?
We don't have to keep going.
You know, I'll tell y'all a quick story, man. I'll tell y'all a quick story. So me and you know what I'm saying, our dad, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's her dad, but you know what I'm saying, I'll say our dad now because, you know, because I tell you this much, man, he has been such a powerful inspiration in my life. And so me and him for the first time, he's a very militant man. You know what I'm saying? He's military, you know? So when I remember we met, I came to Georgia to meet April, you know what I'm saying, our first time seeing each other. And I remember he pulled me to the side. He said, no penetration. And I looked at him and I was like, okay, thinking about that right now, but okay, you know what I'm saying? All right, you know what I'm saying? I received this. I received it. You know what I'm saying? Because it was already what was in my spirit anyway, but I'm glad that God had put it in his spirit to tell me to speak it out loud. So, hey, you know what I'm saying, Jeremy? Now you need to look and see what this is. And it was a blessing because when I went to April, I said, April, you know what your dad just told me, right? She started laughing so hard. I started laughing, and it really, really increased my faith. It increased my knowledge and my understanding that God desired for this to go to a greater level. You know, he wanted something out of this. And, you know, and if you want a relationship that's, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I had friends come up to me and tell me, well, I know people who had sex before marriage and they last for years. Okay. Got you. Mm-hmm. All right. But for me in my house, you know what I'm saying? We're going to do this. Okay. And this is what I'm promoting because guess what? I feel like if you have all that cloud in your mind, all that's going to be cloud in your mind during the situation. And right now, I feel like, you know, when you don't have those things clouding your mind, it helps you to make sound decisions. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, because sound decisions isn't always going to be a painted picture that looks like, you know, a portrait or whatever like that. It's not always going to be something great, but I know that the end results of this right here, this right here, there's going to be a beautiful portrait that is painted by God. You know what I'm saying? Because now we're doing it the way that he desired. Mm-hmm. And so when I look at it like, you know, like Christ, right? Christ, you know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not getting overly spiritual, but let's be real. Christ came here, right? And everything didn't look like how everybody will perceive it to be, right? They said, well, we look for a king. He was supposed to be coming in on a horse and chariots and all the stuff like that. He didn't come like that. He came in a manger. You know what I'm saying? He came, you know what I'm saying, in the virgin. You know what I'm saying? He came, you know what I'm saying, and nobody really knew who he was. You know, he lived in a lowly place. Mm-hmm. He didn't live in the palace and all stuff like that. So a lot of times things start with small beginnings, but God will make it great. The impact that the end is going to have on you is going to be amazing. So that's why I'm saying to you, stop making permanent decisions on temporary situations, because a lot of times people are so temporary these days. Mm-hmm. 1 minute they with you, the next minute they not. 1 minute they love you, next minute they got an attitude with you. You know, and it's time that you start recognizing that, hey, you know what, this person is really temporary. They're not meant for me forever. And it's time for me just to make that decision.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I just, and I want to make sure, last week or the week before we went live, and we rebroadcast it last Monday. So if you haven't seen that, you might want to see the first live that we did about love after dysfunction and abuse. And if you're just joining us, we are releasing a book August 1st. It's called Love After Dysfunction and Abuse. So I just want to put that out there. But we first made sure that we established the fact that we have faced these types of situations. And so we're speaking from experience. We're not speaking from something that we studied or read. We're actually speaking from our lives and sharing our lives on tonight. So
I know that for me, what I've experienced, I mean, and I got people that surround me, probably friends in New Jersey at this time, that will tell you, man, I recall this, and and I've seen this, and and a lot of times I didn't share as much as I should have. I lost a lot of friends, that were very good to me, over a relationship that was temporary. And these people were good friends. And, so that's one thing I would like to do, is just apologize to those that I did leave hanging, or those people that I did leave, because, a lot of times when we make these decisions, we're making it from a dysfunctional place. Mm-hmm. And, and sometimes we don't even understand the level of dysfunction that we're actually going through, so we try to get away from everybody, because one, we're embarrassed. Two, we're just we're just in a place that we don't understand. Mm-hmm. And when you're in a place that you don't understand, you as a man, I try to hide myself away. So I want to just tell you, all that I love you guys. A lot of I love my family. A lot of times, I even push my family away. I didn't even, go to my families when my family members, when I needed them the most. When I should have been able to talk to them, I wasn't able to talk to them. I was embarrassed. So, what I was going through. I was embarrassed, of the situation that I was that was happening to me. So I ran and I just hid myself. So I just want to tell everybody out here, listen to me. You have people around you that love you. Don't just give up these people that care about you and love you over a temporary situation. You learn how to understand that they're coming from a loving place, and be there for and be there for them as well as they're there for you.
Well, I think that is about our time.
Yeah.
We were just going to hit it and, hit it strong. If you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel,
please come.
We Are the Kings. Please subscribe on YouTube. We would love to have you. We are releasing our book in August. It is called Love After Dysfunction and Abuse. You can also follow us or check us out at www.thekingscourt.com. Yeah. And we hope that we shared something in this half hour that was helpful to you. And we'll see you all next Monday. Wait. What's that?
Love you guys.
Love you guys.